With the rise of internet pornography, everybody now is talking about porn addiction. But what if I told you that that was just the tip of the iceberg, and beneath it lies a darker, more sinister underworld that drags men into behaviors that they never even imagined they'd participate in? A study from the Journal of Addictive Behaviors found that individuals addicted to pornography were significantly more likely to engage in risky sexual behaviors, including those of paying for sex workers. And what's worse is this isn't random. Porn companies, escort agencies, OnlyFans models, and cam sites are all actively exploiting this pattern to funnel free traffic into paying customers, and they're making billions and billions of dollars off of it. Now here's the problem you need to understand. Porn addiction doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's not just about watching videos. It's about how this addiction escalates over time. And there's two reasons why this leads so many men into paying for sexual content or even going out and seeing sex workers. First off, one of the core understandings of porn addiction is that it intensifies over time. What used to satisfy the man doesn't anymore, and he has to go out and start to seek more extreme or more personal or even more taboo topics and videos just to get the same amount of pleasure. And secondly, porn sites are free, but they're free for a reason. They're part of a bigger system and funnel that's designed to hook you and lead you into paid content. And these companies know that once you're addicted, you're paying. And when you combine the neuroscience behind porn addiction along with how porn sites market themselves, you're left with millions of men who have been funneled into paying for sexual content or even sexual services. This can include OnlyFans accounts, it can be cam sites, or even going out and paying for some of these escort agencies. I think it's extremely important to understand how these porn sites operate and how they maximize profit. And they do so in a very sneaky way. They give away free content in a plethora of it so they can rank on Google and pull in as much traffic as humanly possible. And once they have this insane amount of traffic, they can start to push that user into more paid services. They'll start to show you ads for premium content or push you to sites where you need to have a subscription or even push you towards paying for live cams. And these tactics are even more noticeable on social media nowadays. Like if you go and scroll on YouTube Shorts or IG Reels, or if you go on TikTok or even Snapchat nowadays, which is kind of sad because it's only kids using that, you're going to see these same tactics being used because social media has become the new breeding ground for attracting men into these paid services. These OF models, or as I call them, social media prostitutes, they strategically position themselves in the market by posting soft porn to get a bunch of views and get a bunch of followers to go and click on their OnlyFans or go and click on their other paid platforms. And this is even a tactic that is used by some freelance escorts as well. Now, the commonality between all of this is that these platforms all dangle the illusion of intimacy, or they start to kind of show how you can get closer proximity to a woman and kind of have a customized or personalized experience, especially with OnlyFans or if you're to go to a cam site. And they make you think that this is better than porn. This is different than pornography. Like this is a real connection. And that is why people are very willing to pull out their credit card information and pay for some of these content or services. But the sad reality is these tactics that these people are using on you is only worsening the porn addiction. The guys who are paying for these services are looking for novelty. They're looking for a hit. They're looking for some sort of pleasure, and it's just making their addiction a lot worse. And it's getting them closer and closer and closer to actually going out and paying for an escort live in the flesh. Now, another sneaky way that porn addiction creates escort addicts is through the type of content that many porn sites promote. Because over time, these porn sites don't just feed you the same content. They always are opening up new novel realities and these new novel niches that you really haven't gone down beforehand. And oftentimes these are far more intense, right? They might be a little bit edgier, more taboo. Like you wouldn't really tell somebody you're watching this stuff, or even cross over into some illegal or just immoral territory just to record or even watch. And for many porn addicted men, that sense of novelty and that sense of increased curiosity really leads them to think like, what else is out there? they start to go further and further and further down this rabbit hole of looking for other services or other content. And that's where people stumble upon escorts, massage parlors, sex workers. Like, that's when they start to look into that material on those websites, and it quickly becomes a growing obsession. Like, is this real? Is this something that I can do? And that curiosity builds and builds and builds. And eventually for some, that leap from viral fantasy to real world action becomes like almost a matter of time. Like, it's inevitable at that point. It's the next logical step. They've entertained it to such a point where they can't entertain it anymore, and they just have to go and take action on it. And you might be thinking like, well, this is surely just a small percentage of men, right? Like, I haven't heard about this before. I haven't heard about this kind of like underworld of escorts and all that stuff. Like, surely this can't be a widespread thing, right? Well, you're wrong. This is happening on a massive scale. And the reality is, men are just simply not open about talking about this underworld because their addiction thrives on secrecy. Like, you can't brag about going and paying for an escort. You can't brag about going and doing these things. It just makes no sense. And it becomes something where guys don't want to be honest to other people about, and they don't even want to be honest to themselves about. And if you're watching this far into this video, I can almost guarantee, I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that you've felt the same way in the past. I know for all of us, pornography has led you down a dark rabbit hole where you want to even mention some of the things that you watched or even looked up. But the thing is, make no mistake about it, the sex industry is a booming industry, and it's only continuing to grow. And just to put it into perspective, like how big this really is, there are estimates out there that the global sex industry is generating over $100 billion annually. Like, this is some isolated issue. It's an entire industry that is going on beneath the surface, and not a lot of people are talking about it. And pornography, and really porn addiction, is the gateway drug into this. And if you've been following my channel, you know that men who engage in sex workers come from all walks of life. Like, single men do it, married men do it, athletes, professionals, college students. Like, it's a wide range of men. And it's a problem because they just didn't wake up one day and go out and do those things. No one does. It was a progression where they went from porn, they went to something a little bit more intense, and then down the line, they started to go out and pay for these services. And this is a widespread problem, but it's not put into the light because no one wants to take it out of the shadows. But here's the connection that you need to understand. When someone is addicted to pornography, they're already chasing novelty. They're kind of pushing the boundaries already, and they need to seek more novel experiences just because they need to get the same hit. So when they learn about the underworld of escort services, it does not seem like a big leap at all. It's a natural progression. They go and take action, the addiction deepens, it gets worse and worse and worse, and they're soon starting to pay for escort services more and more often, and now pornography doesn't even seem that pleasurable. It's just kind of like, I'll do it to do it, but it's nothing as gratifying as the door that they've opened for themselves. And the saddest part is that once people get to this point, I've heard it so many times from guys, that they begin to feel hopeless. They start to see that they're not in control. The addiction is in control because they're seeing the negative consequences of going out and paying for sex. Like, this is not something that you just do and, have a fun experience with. Like, when you get to this point, guys, this is not a fun thing. You don't want to be in this position at all. And those of you out there who can relate to this, they know, but they're still addicted. They want to stop, but they can't. This is not a place you want to get to, which is why I think it's really important to see where porn addiction will take you. So I think you're starting to see the reality of this issue, that this is a far more widespread and damaging issue that is affecting millions and millions of people. And this billion-dollar sex industry relies on this progression and this intensification of the addiction to really thrive and profit year after year. And they're going to capitalize on your shame. They're going to capitalize on your feelings of double life and feeling of kind of isolation and secrecy, really, to keep you addicted and keep you locked in. And if you're relating to this video and you feel like you're kind of caught in this cycle, I understand where you're coming from, man. It can feel like there's really no way out. But the truth is, there are ways to break free. And it all starts with recognizing how this system works, where it's headed, and understanding how it's really been manipulating you. So if you feel tired and you feel stuck of being in this addictive cycle, just go down below and book a call with myself. Let's just have a conversation. And the goal of our consultation is going to be to find the reason why you haven't been able to break free from the grips of this escort addiction. Like, really understand why you haven't been able to break free. And whether you work with me or not to kind of bridge that gap for you, you're going to walk away from that call knowing damn sure what needs to change to actually see freedom. So this is your chance to take that first step. Book that consultation now and let's uncover what's been holding you back, man.